So, hi children, I'm happy to meet you all with another new lesson. That is lesson 4 Something Unexpected Happens, part 1. This is actually a portion adapted from the story Heidi. Okay, so I hope you all are ready with your English textbook, pencil, and eraser. If not, make it ready. Now, I'm going to start this lesson with a prerequisite knowledge. And I know you would have seen this story, Heidi, either in cartoons or in English movies. Okay, so it won't be much difficult for you to understand this lesson. Okay, children. So, the prerequisite knowledge which we are going to see first. So, children, have you ever been to the hills or mountains, children? Yes, of course, we would have gone to Kodaikanal or Ooty. So, here they have given 6 pictures. Okay, so you have to circle all that you will see there. Where you have to circle all that you will see on the hills or mountains. So, among the 6 pictures, you have to circle the pictures that you will see on the hills or mountains. Okay. Now look at the first one. What is the first picture? It's a picture of a fire. Second, picture of a camel. Third, picture of a sweater. Fourth, it's a picture of an ostrich. Fifth, picture of a flower. Sixth, picture of a sand castle. So among this, you have to circle those what you see on hills or mountains. Okay. So now let us begin with the lesson. So, children, you all would have got this experience, which happened even for Peter in this story. What experience? Come, let's see. Children, we would always expect our best friends to spend much time with us. But if they fail to do so, or if they spend much time with new friends other than us, we would have done some mischievous things in order to bring back their attention towards us. Isn't it, children? Yes, we would have done that. So, here in this prose, something unexpected happens. Part 1 and in part 2, these both portions of lesson, which is adapted from the story Heidi, is actually based upon one such incident that happens between Peter, Heidi, and Clara, which finally ends happily. So, children, in this story, we have characters like Heidi's grandfather and Heidi, who lived in a house on the Swiss Alps. You know what is Swiss Alps? It's actually a place, a region in Switzerland. Moreover, we also have Heidi's friends Peter and Clara. This prose is an adapted portion from the story Heidi, which was written by Johanna Spyri, who lived between the year 1827 to 1901. She was a nature lover and was born in a small village in Switzerland. She shifted to Zurich after her marriage. Just like her most famous character Heidi, she was never really happy with life in the city. She wrote many other books, but Heidi remains her most popular work. It has been translated into 50 languages and even made into films and cartoon shows for television. There is even a Heidi village in Switzerland. Isn't it interesting, children? So, children, as we saw before, Heidi stays with her grandfather in a house on the Swiss Alps. In this story, we see Heidi, her grandfather, and her friend Clara, who uses a wheelchair to go from one place to another, make plans to go up the mountain one summer morning. Who make plans? Heidi's grandfather, Heidi and Clara, they made a plan to go up the mountain one summer morning. Now, listen carefully. Grandfather went out early one morning to see what kind of a day it was going to be. The sun was rising over the mountains and a light breeze was swaying the trees. You know what is breeze? A light wind. When a wind blowed very lightly, it is said as breeze. Swaying. Swaying means moving slowly from side to side. He watched as the morning light spread everywhere. Grandfather wheeled the chair. Chair means a wheelchair, okay? Out of this shed. Shed, a small building usually made of wood or metal used for keeping things, and went in to call the children. Peter came up at this moment. The goats did not gather. Gather means to come together in one place to form a group round him as usual, but seemed to avoid him because Peter was angry. For weeks now he had not spoken to Heidi. When he came up in the morning, Heidi's friend Clara was already in her chair and Heidi was busy with her. So, children, on one fine morning, grandfather came out to see what kind of day it was. As he saw the rising sun and a light breeze, he decided to take Clara and Heidi to the mountain, which was already planned by them. So, as he decided to take them, he wheeled the chair out of the shed and kept it ready. And then what happened? He went inside the house to call them. Who? He went inside the house to call Clara and Heidi. By the time what happened? Peter arrived there. Who was Heidi's friend? Who was Heidi's friend? Peter. And he was also angry on her. Who was angry? Peter was angry. On whom? Heidi. As she had not spoken to him. So when Peter came up in the morning, he found that Heidi and her friend Clara were busy among them. Children, take your page number 52. She had not come out with the goats once this summer. Today she was going to the mountainside. Mountainside means a side or slope of a mountain with her friend and the chair. She would surely stay with her the whole time. It was the thought of this which was making him cross. Cross means angry or upset. There stood the chair on its high wheels. Peter glad means looked at somebody or something in anger. Peter glared at it as an enemy. He glanced around. Glanced means looked quickly at something or somebody. He glanced around. There was no one to see him. He went forward and caught hold of it and gave it an angry push in the direction of the slope. The chair rolled forward and down the slope. Children, if you want to know the meaning of slope, just see the picture which is given in the left side under word bank. Peter ran up the mountain, not stopping till he was hiding behind a large blackberry bush. He did not want grandfather to see him, but he wanted to see what had happened to the chair, and he could see it from behind the bush. He saw the wheelchair go downhill, then it rolled over and broke into bits. The pieces flew in every direction and Peter leaped. Leaped means jumped high in the air in delight. Delight means great joy. So, children, we all know that Peter was already angry on Heidi as she was not spoken to him for a week. Moreover, she did not go with him and the goats once this summer. So, along with that, when Peter came up and heard that Heidi and Clara were moving up to the mountain to spend the whole day, he became even more angry on Heidi. So, what he did, he looked at the wheelchair angrily and also he looked around him in order to check out whether anyone were noticing him. Once he noticed that there were no one, he rolled the wheelchair down the hill and ran towards the blackberry bush before grandpa could see him, from where he could also able to see the wheelchair which rolled down and broken into pieces. So, on seeing the broken wheelchair, Peter was happy and he jumped in the air. He was sure Heidi's friend would go back home. She would not be able to move about without the chair. When Heidi was alone again, she would talk to him as in the old days. Heidi now came running out of the hut and could not find the wheelchair. Grandfather was surprised by this. "Oh, we shall not be able to go today," said Clara sadly, "or any other day. We will go up the mountain as we had planned," answered Grandfather, much to the children's delight. Yes, children, Peter was sure that Clara would go back home as she can't move anywhere without the wheelchair. And finally, Heidi would be all alone as before and spends time to talk with him as in old days. When Heidi went out of the hut and found that the wheelchair was missing, both felt sad. Even Grandpa was surprised. But he said Clara and Heidi that he will take them to the mountain as they planned. So, children, from this we can understand that Peter had done all these things in order to make Heidi to spend time with him as in old days.